Okay, so here's the second video for section 1.12. So if you turn to page 101 and look at the bottom, we have these two salary options. And so we're trying to figure out which one is better. One, you just get a 5% raise every single year, and then the next one, or I guess this is 1 year at a time. And then this one you get a 3.5% increase, but then after they figure that, then they add $1,000. They give you a $1,000 bonus. And so what we want to do is we want to fill out the charts here to kind of see what's better. Now, you could multiply by, again, to do percent, you always forward, you always multiply. So you could multiply by 0.05 and add it, and 0.05 and add it, and 0.05 and add it, and 0.05 and add it. But instead, it's faster to use a multiplier, and so then you don't have to sit there and do 2 steps on your calculator or 2 steps on your computer. You can just do one. So if we want to look at this, and I need to put my power cord in here. Sorry, it just came out. So if I want to look at this, so what I could do instead is I could say, okay, well, this is going to be my old salary, which is all of my old, plus I'm getting an increase of 5%. So I'm really getting 105%. And so instead of multiplying by 0.05, adding 0.05 or adding, I can just take all of these salaries and multiply by 1.05. And that's going to give me 105% of what I used to make, which means I get all of my old salary and 5% more. So a faster way to do this column is just take each salary and multiply by 105%. Okay, so that's why multipliers are nice, right? And then go ahead and fill out this, and then think about what you would do to fill out this one. And I'm going to pause here for a second. Okay, so again, if you have to decide which raise you want, probably a good idea to crunch a little bit of numbers before you make a decision, especially if year to year you can change your mind. So again, if you use this multiplier, you can figure out all of the new salaries. All right, so now if you think about this one, again, you can multiply by 0.035 to this, figure out the raise, add it, and then add another 1,000 to that. But again, multipliers are super, super, super helpful. So instead, if you think of, okay, I'm going to get 100% of what I used to make, and then I'm getting a 3.5% raise, so that's 103.5%. I could use the multiplier of 1.035 instead. So I can take all of these salaries and multiply by 1.035 and then add the 1,000 to my calculator. So I'm going to take, say, this, multiply it by that 15,000 salary, and then go ahead and add $1,000 to that and just do that all in one swoop on my calculator. And I'm going to get an answer for this one of, let's see, I'll use blue, 16,525. And then I could subtract and get a negative 775 if I subtract in order. All right, so fill out these 2 columns and then come back when you're done. Okay, so now if you take all of these salaries right over here and then you multiply by this multiplier and then add in the $1,000, you should get all of these results. And then if you subtract left to right, you should get these positive and negative numbers. So go ahead and pause and answer questions A through, I guess, E. We'll talk about F. For some reason, F got cut off here. I'm not sure why. But anyway, so do B, C, D, and E, and then we'll talk about F in a second here. Okay, so let's look at these. The first one says, list the name of the employees who benefit more from option 1. So if you look at option 1 here, who makes more money? So in option 1, these 2 people right here make more money. And so you can see the positive amount over there. So that means option 1's bigger, so there's enough positive left over. So Evelyn and Emily are going to be better off with option 1. Everyone else, all these other people here, are going to be, everyone else has negative, meaning that they lose money if they choose option 1. So everybody else is going to be better off and make more money with option 2. So what do the results of the difference column tell you for John and Emily? So John, his result is negative. So that means he's going to lose $775 if he chooses option 1, okay? So, or make $775 less if he chooses option 1. And then Emily, her result is positive. meaning so for her, she's going to make $425 more if she chooses option 1. So option 1's positive for her. It's a good thing, negative for him. In general, which salaries benefit more under each plan? So kind of if you look at this, who's benefiting from the first option here? And that would be Evelyn and Emily. So why are they benefiting? Well, you know, they're high salary people here. So it looks like if you make more money, you're probably better off with option 1. And if you make less money, you're probably going to be better off with option 2. And so we need to kind of figure out where that cutoff is a little bit, and we'll do that with Excel in a second. Okay. One thing I can say is though, 5%, it's kind of, how can I say this? For example, it's a percent of a bigger number. So 5% of a small thing isn't very much money, but 5% of a big dollar amount is more. And so it's kind of like $100 to my son is a lot of money. $100 to me sometimes doesn't always pay the grocery bill. So it's all relative depending on your perspective. So for some people, $100 might be 50% of all their money. They only have $200 in their savings account and $100 is half of it. So it's 50%. But if someone else has, say, $10,000 in their savings account, that $100 is only 1% of it. So it's just not as, they don't view it as much money. So it's all relative. So if you think of that 5% is going to be a bigger amount when you take 5% of a bigger dollar amount, where 5% of a small amount, not so much. All right. And so F, is there a salary for when it breaks even? So it looks like somewhere between 60 and 80,000 it's going to break even, and we'll figure out in a second. And F will do the same. Now, to write formulas, we're going to use Excel in a second, so we have to be able to write formulas. And there's some problems in your homework like this. So, in general, for option 1, what did we do? So for option 1, we went ahead and we took 1.05 times whatever their salary was. Okay? And so that was our formula to predict their new salary. For option 2, what math did we do? Well, we took 1.035 times their salary, but then we added $1,000 after the fact. And so using these multipliers is going to make it easier to use Excel and to write formulas. And we're going to use those to figure out the answers to E and F here. So I am going to get out of this. So let me exit out of here. And I want to go into, let me see. Let me pause this for a second. I'm going to go back to the DMAC homepage quick. Okay, I got back into the DMAC homepage, and what I want you to notice is, see how there's Office 360 here? I'm going to click on it. And yes. And everyone has free access to Word and Excel and all those things, so I'm going to click on Excel. We're going to do a new workbook. All right, and so this is kind of what Excel looks like a little bit. And so we are going to go ahead and, let me see if I'm at home, file, new, there. Let me go back here just a second. All right, and where's the f of x? There it is. Okay, so we're going to type in this data. So what I'm going to do is type in the names of the people here. I'm going to type in their salaries here, and then we're going to type some formulas in. So if you want to go here and type in all their names and all their salaries, then we're going to do Excel in just a second. Okay, so all I did here is, like, I click on my cell and I type in the word name and enter, and then I can just type in John, Marissa. So all I did is type in the name. Same thing here. I typed in current salary, and then I typed in, 15,000, enter, and I just went down. All right, and if you need to move it over, you can, like, if the title's too long, we can do that. So this is option 1. So this is the 5% increase. And so you put your title there, if I could type, help. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is write a formula. And so in Excel, what we do is, see this function key? That's like your y equals. So we're going to put a formula. But notice we need the equals. It's just the function. So you start out with an equal sign. All right, and then we write our formula. So the 5% was 105%. And we use the asterisk for a times. And then what did we multiply it by? Well, the salary. So we can't use a variable here like S. We gotta look at where our first cell is. And so if you look, I'm gonna scroll this over. Oh, maybe not. Let me try to move that over just a little bit. Okay, there we go. All right, see how this first salary is in the cell B2. So John's first salary there is B2. So you're going to type in B2 and you hit enter. And what it does is it does the math for you. And so what you can do is you can copy and paste just like in Word. So I can copy and then I can go all the way down and hit paste. And what it's going to do is it's going to change the formula. So if you look down here, it's going to still do the 105%, but do you see how it picked salary B11? So it picked the salary for Emily. And so it does the math for you, which is super nice. All right, and then we're going to do the 3.5%, I think? Yep, 3.5% plus $1,000. And again, you can just move that cell over if you need to. Okay, start in where you want your first answer. Come up here to the function key, and you're going to put equals. And our formula for this was 103.5, so 1.035 times, so an asterisk, our variable was what? The first salary was B2, so I'm going to put in B2. And then plus, they got that $1,000 bonus after the fact, so I'm going to hit enter. Now again, another way to copy and paste is, see this little square here? So you can just pull that down, and that will also copy and paste if you like doing it that way. All right, and you can check your math compared to what we got before. Those numbers seem to match. And then the last thing we can do is the difference. Okay, so let's think of our formula. We're going to start with equals. Okay, now what did we subtract to get the difference? We subtracted the answer here minus it. So this is cell what? C2. So the answer was in C2, so I'm going to put C2. And then minus, because I subtracted, and this answer is in what? The first answer is in D2. So in Excel, you use variables, but they look a little bit different. So again, if you don't want to pull down on that little square, you can hit this guy and copy it. And then you can just pull that down, and you can hit the paste key, kind of like in Word. All right. So, and again, those should match what we got. So we want to find the break-even point. So we know it happens somewhere in here. So we could try, I don't know, 62,000 maybe. Let's see. Is that too much? Yeah. And I'm going to try maybe 65,000 or 64, sorry. All right, and I need to, let's see. I think I need to drag this again to go past. Oopsie. Don't want to do that. Cancel. Okay, I'm just going to copy and paste again. So copy, because I need that formula to go down a little bit further, and paste. And I'm going to copy and paste. And we're kind of looking for a break-even point. So paste, and then I could do this guy. I'm going to try pulling the little square this time, see if I can get it to go. Hope that last one didn't go. All right, let me do this one again. Copy, and then paste. All right, so I'm getting closer to 0, which is my goal. So I could try, let's see, I could just change this number. Let's see, so what, 65,000, and it'll update. Okay, we're getting closer, so maybe 66,000. Ooh, we're getting better. Maybe 66,666, enter. So we're getting pretty close. I could do 66,660 and what, 67 cents maybe. All right, and that's in scientific notation. So we're getting super close. All right, and so it looks like 66,666 cents or 67 cents is kind of the break-even point. So if you make more than that, that 5% is going to be a bigger amount of money. So you're going to be like Evelyn and Emily. If you make more than 66,667, you'd be better off choosing the 5%. But if you make less than 66,667-ish, you would probably be better doing the 3.5% and a $1,000 bonus. And I'm going to pause it here. I'm going to show you some algebra. I don't expect you to get this yet, but we're heading that direction eventually, so I still want to show it to you. So pause, and I will come right back. Okay, so if we want to find the break-even point, what we can do is take the one formula, which is the 5% raise, and compare it to the 3.5% raise with $1,000. And so again, depending on how much algebra you remember, if you want to get rid of 1.035s, you subtract it from both sides so that these cancel. And when you do that, you get this 0.015s. And what that really means is that's the 1.5% difference between the two percentages. So really what you're saying here is, when does that 1.5% balance out with the $1,000 bonus, because the one you get this extra, the other one you get this extra. So when do they balance out? So to get rid of multiplying in math, you divide both.